Hey guys, welcome back to a new YouTube video. Today I'm putting you through a glute hamstring focused workout. So I'm starting here with the lying leg hamstring curls, and the key thing with this is to keep your hips pressed down the entire exercise. So I like to think about digging my hips into the cushion, especially as I bring my legs up and as I bring them down. If you find that your hips are lifting up, then you're likely putting the weight on your lower back, which is not what we want. So focus on reducing the weight, or perhaps asking a partner to just press down on your lower back to focus on the exact area you need to keep down. I'm then moving on to a superset with walking lunges, body weight. I like to do these where I push my weight backwards as opposed to pushing my weight forward. I find if I push my weight forward, I'm getting a lot more quad engagement, and since I'm targeting more my hamstrings and glutes throughout this exercise, I like to keep my weight back. And the key thing to remember about keeping your weight back is you'll have a 90-degree angle with your leg. So if you find that your knee is going over your toe, you're likely pushing your weight forward, which is going to get your quads engaged a lot more. So if you keep a more of a 90-degree angle, you're pushing the weight back, which is going to put more of the tension on your hamstrings and glutes, which is what you want if you're performing it for that particular reason. We're then moving on to hip thrusters. So these are one of my favorites for hamstring glute engagement. They're extremely effective if done properly. So I like to have my leg, in this case Jenny's leg is out at about a 90-degree angle. Her knees are slightly externally rotated, so she's pushing her knees outwards as she thrusts up, and she's really focusing on engaging the glutes and thrusting up, so the movement comes exactly from your hips and your glutes as opposed to any other part of your body taking the work. So I'm just showing here Maddie how to properly externally rotate her knees, so when she drives up there are thrusting outwards, which is going to allow her to get more of that glute engagement. It's obviously preference. If you find that doesn't work for you, no worries. It's just a tip that I find helpful, and I'm showing her how to exactly do it. So again, really think about squeezing and thrusting the glutes up, almost like you're trying to thrust them up towards the ceiling, and then holding for a slight pause to really engage those glutes. So again, here I'm just showing proper setup. I could probably bring my legs in a little bit closer, but again, it's about a 90-degree angle. So I like to focus on, as at the down part, to thrust and then drive up. So squeeze, thrust up. Squeeze my glutes here, thrust up. And I like to always hold for a slight pause at the top just to really engage those glutes and make sure I'm targeting the specific area I'd like to be targeting. And again, one more clip of Jenny, and I put it in slow motion so you guys could really take a look at how it is performed. So you can see her legs are in a 90-degree angle, her knees are externally rotating, so she's pushing them outwards, and she's really thrusting those hips up. So she is squeezing and thrusting up with a slight pause, so you can really see that glute hamstring engagement, and she's really going to get the most out of this exercise, which is what we want when we are performing any given exercise. We're then moving on now to stiff leg deadlifts. So another tip I like to give is putting 2 5-pound plates underneath your toes, which is just going to allow you to get a deeper stretch and get more hamstring engagement. Again, this is just a tip I find useful, but if you don't like it, don't use it. So again, I'm just showing, the key thing with this is you don't want to lock your legs out. If you are locking your knees out, you are likely going to injure yourself, and it's just not what we want. So a slight bend in your lower knee and really focus on keeping your back straight. So I like to squeeze, drive down, then I squeeze my glutes again, and then I drive up. And that's really just keeping the tension on your hamstrings and your glutes the entire time. I don't perform a very big range of motion, so I don't come all the way up. I like to keep the tension on my glutes the entire time instead of thrusting forward, which is what a lot of people like to do. So again, preference, and do what works for you. We're then moving on to another superset, which is the final superset of this exercise, and it is some kettlebell hip thrusters. So again, you're going to want to really focus on having a wider stance, having your knees slightly outwards, so you can see my toes are pointed slightly outwards, and really focusing on driving through the hips and having that glute squeeze and engagement. And then again, I'm moving on to a Swiss ball hamstring curl. So I like this because it forces you to not only use your hamstrings, but also stabilize your body at the same time. focus on keeping your hips throughout the entire time. So I like to hold my hips just so I know they're going to stay upwards. And it's going to take a little bit of time for you to adjust with the stability of it because it can be a little bit difficult. So take your time, go slower, but just focus on keeping your hips up the entire time. So again, with the kettlebell swings, make sure to keep your chest up and your back straight. Obviously, with all these exercises, focus on keeping your core engaged to reduce any kind of weight or tension on your lower back to prevent any kind of injury. And again, finally, just moving on to the superset of the hamstring curls with the Swiss ball. And again, keeping those hips up. This is going to really focus on you to stabilize your hip flexors along with engaging your hamstrings. So I find it's a nice switch up to incorporate in everything else. So that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked the video and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video, I guess. Have a good day, night, whenever it is. Bye, guys.